走遍世界各地，杰森马不断灌输守贞的观念。他以身作则，从自己开始，也带领许多的年轻人愿意起身效法。而吴建豪就是让人最津津乐道的一位。
他说他那时候20岁的时候就答应上帝7年不跟女生有任何交往。他一讲7年的时候，我吓一跳，他7年啊。他说没关系，你不用说7年，你说3个月或者6个月先试试看。我觉得应该做得到吧。然后那后来那时候才我的见证出来的时候，我才真的很明确听到上帝跟我讲的时候，我就说 OK 好，1年我就试试看1年。那真的就是那1年，整个这样子下来，让我傻眼。
因着杰森骂的影响，守贞不再是被同侪取笑的画饼，而是让人引以为傲的象征。
And Jason, what made you make the decision for committing yourself 7 years in traveling to go preach the gospel?
When I was 21, I made a commitment to God to be single for 7 years.
Why?
Because my girlfriend broke up with me. Yeah. I mean, that was 50% of the reason. There was a young girl that I was dating at church, and I really, really liked her, and I thought I was going to marry her. My heart was very, very torn, and I was very, very depressed. It was the first time I ever felt, your heartbreak, your first love. And so I remember I was depressed for like a year. I'd cry every day because I loved her so much. And then asking God why. And I remember him saying, would you give up the best years of your life to love me and serve me? And I didn't know what that meant, but I wrestled with it. I remember God saying to me, Jason, do you believe that I can satisfy you more than anyone else? Mother, father, brother, sister, girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, anyone. And I said, God, I want to believe that you can. And so as I was there talking with God, I turned to the story of Jacob and Rachel, and how Jacob in the Bible waited 7 years to marry the love of his life, Rachel. Of course, he ended up waiting 14 years because he had to end up marrying his older sister first. But that number, 7 years, just came into my heart. And for some reason, I just felt, I don't know, but I just sensed that God was saying, would you give up 7 years? And at that point, I was like, all right, God, I surrender.
But purity, I mean, was it a very difficult commitment to follow?
Yes, definitely. It was very, very difficult because as a young man, you do burn with lust biologically.
Right.
Okay? You have sexual desires and needs, And so from a very young age, I had struggled with pornography. I struggled with masturbation. And even traveling many times, I would get very weak and lonely at times. When I come back preaching, I was just exhausted. And I would be jet lagged, and I'd be on the internet, and then you get a random email in your junk mail. And then it turns out to be, pornography or something lewd or lustful. And times I had fallen, okay? As a pastor, I had fallen. So I've made this known, that I did not struggle. I'm a human being, I'm not like this holy pastor that's perfect and I don't have any sexual desires because God gave me a gift. No. I love women. I love God. I love women. I want to be married. I want to have children. I believe that sex will be great one day, in the right context. But I did struggle with it, and so through the years, through other pastors holding me accountable and other brothers and sisters holding me accountable and getting ministry in that area, I was able to overcome pornography and able to overcome that temptation, and really going to God and really letting God in His presence satisfy me. Okay? But it wasn't an easy road. It was a struggle.
But you have been teaching young people to keep purity.
Absolutely.
Right? Do they find you old-fashioned?
No.
No?
Abstinence is the new cool. Purity is the new cool. Yeah. I mean...
How did you teach them?
Example. The best way to lead is by example. I can't tell the young people to do something that I don't do.
Right.
And so when they see me, I'm almost 30 years old. I'm 29. I'm still a virgin. Okay, I remember the first time I was in Hong Kong, and it was an outreach for celebrities and artists, and there were about 200 artists and entertainers there, and I was like, I'm a virgin and I'm proud of it, and everyone just started laughing, right? Like, oh my God, he's a virgin? No way, no. And but I was like, you know what? I'm proud of it because to me, purity is not something, or sexual temptation, abstinence is not something I'm just trying to control or just trying to resist. It's a battle. It's a war. It's a fight to be won. So really, when you look at purity, you don't look at it as, oh, I'm missing out on something. Okay? Rather, I'm fighting for something. Okay? I'm fighting to give my future wife, my future family, my children the very best. To give them my whole heart. To let them know that I saved myself for their mother. And I love her that much that I would not give myself to anyone else but her.
Wow, how
for
romantic.
Her and for the children.
Oh, it's very romantic.
Well, I think God's romantic.
And I know this commitment affect Vanessa very much. Right.
Absolutely. Well,
We're talking about the same thing.
He is now, I believe he's been abstinent for almost 2 years now. And I always tell people, I believe in what I call born again virgins. Okay? So a lot of people, young people come to me like, hey, I already fell into sexual immorality. I had sex. It's too late for me. I go, it's never too late. It's never too late. As long as right now you ask for God's forgiveness and you make a commitment to be pure and to save yourself for the one that God has planned for you, then you are washed clean and you are made new, a born again virgin. And we've heard stories, unbelievable stories, miracle stories of women, young women that received their virginity again. Okay? Literally, when they get married, they're, physically, they're virgins, even though they had sex beforehand. And so I believe that God could do miracles like that and he can restore your purity. But with Vanessa, he's a very special story. I mean, so many young people right now are following after him.
Right.
And that's why I believe that people like him, pop stars, cultural icons, celebrities, need to recognize that what they do influences others.
Absolutely.
Whether they like it or not, they are role models, either good or bad. And the actions they make, decisions they make, and choices they choose will affect thousands, if not millions, who will follow after the example. And most young people today will not follow what a pastor says, will not follow what the parents say, but they'll follow what Vanessa Wu says. And now, because of his testimony and that t-shirt that he's wearing, thousands in Taiwan and Asia of young people are wearing that same t-shirt, that God is better than sex, that God can satisfy me more than a human being. Okay? And they're committed to abstinence and purity. It's beautiful. It's powerful. He says, why don't you play that musical beat on your computer, find one of your sermons.
吴建豪、林书豪夜店碰过，虔诚基督徒都具婚前性行为。吴建豪今天为3立华人电视剧《爱上巧克力》才有点教室，搭上最热门的话题林书豪。这双豪因为教会的朋友互相认识哦。
那我其实是最近，才要跟他联系到，就是有写 email， 就是为他祷告，他为我祷告之类的。
吴建豪确实很喜欢帮别人祷告，这点我们倒是亲眼看过。那你替他祷告什么？
就是在这个时段，就是可以把所有不需要去想的事情就不用想，那好好去做他心里面想要做的事情。
他说去年在台湾与林书豪有一面之缘，
舞厅那边碰到的。他那时候在台湾就是在休息。
中文还是不太好，他讲的舞厅其实是
台湾 and bar。他聊说，好像他的父母亲都很喜欢看我的戏，好像下一站幸福。
吴建豪还曾经帮林书豪写过一首不曾发表的歌。
在 Golden State Warriors 的时候，刚好我的美国的经纪公司有碰到他，然后他们在聊，后来就说那大家都私下，有一次就是 帮谁随便写一些歌，就每个人都说 OK，因为就是你知道，华人在 NBA，然后我们都喜欢看篮球，都爱打篮球。后来那时候就写了一首歌，叫 Warriors。我跟欧阳靖，还有马牧师，我们3个人一起写的。
因为2个豪都是虔诚的基督徒，所以连对这件事的想法也很一致。
你的信仰是就是不能婚前有性行为，那他应该也不行，对吧？那你现在都怎么克服？
不要一直想这些事情，就不会去想要做这件事情。
可有时候跟女朋友相处就是难免，
就是还是会有克制的地方。
Boys and girls, listen to this. You think this is a boy thing. This is not just a boy thing. I have had girls come up to me and confess this. For love's sake, say no to pornography. I'd love to do a whole weekend on this with you sometime, but it probably should be separate groups, boys and girls separated. We'd do that sometime on how to battle this thing in your life. But I'm just saying tonight, for love's sake, for the love of your future spouse, I can tell you how much horror is going on at our church right now in marriages because some men and some women are hooked on pornography, and they got hooked at age 14. And now they're 29, ruining their marriages. And they cannot get free on this thing. And so for the sake of love, the solution to this problem, guys and gals, on the internet, the solution to this problem is not duty. Okay, you're not supposed to do this. I won't do this. Duty, that will fail. You know it will fail. It has failed. What will not fail, what will succeed over time is, I am going to fight for a superior pleasure that severs the root of the lie that comes to me out of this monitor that says, I will be happier, I will experience more pleasure if I go there with this mouse than if I don't go there. There has to be a superior pleasure, a triumph over lower pleasures by higher pleasures. So one of the goals I'm hoping will come out of this weekend is that we are increased in our ability to cultivate deeper, higher, longer pleasures. I'll be real honest with you, and I'll risk boasting here, because you need to know this about your preaching pastor. I have never ever seen a pornographic picture on the internet. And I haven't looked at a pornographic magazine since I was 16. And I found a Playboy at a laundromat one time and hid it so I could keep looking at it for a while. I only say that because the battle can be won. I'm not perfect in my head, and I've got plenty to do in my heart, but God has enabled me to sit in front of a computer hour on end, knowing I could go anywhere I want, see anything I want. There's no guard on my computer, and I think about my King Jesus. I think about being able to look all of you right in the eye and be a faithful shepherd. I think about wanting to have Matthew 5:8 fulfilled in my life. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Knowing if I can't see God clearly in the Bible, I can't minister anymore with power. And if I defile my mind and my heart with picture after picture after picture, I will not be able to see God clearly. And if I can't see Him clearly, my joy falls. If my joy falls, I am a sitting duck for every sin that comes along. I tell you, the Bible does not say cut off your hand and gouge out your eye rather than lust for nothing. This is war. And the main place to fight the battle is not by making a list of do's and don'ts. It's by fighting for joy that is superior to the quick surge that comes from pornography. It is so cheap, so low, so small, and the kickback afterwards is so weak and so miserable. Oh, that God would do a deep work of joy that weans you off of that.
with the accessibility of pornography and kind of the pornified culture that's fallen in love with sensuality through marketing, through promotion, even in Christian circles. I mean, sex is just something that's always sold, always will. Pornography makes more money per year than every major sport in America combined. And not only is it huge, I think the heart issue has always been the same. There's always been a desire for sensuality and an abuse of God's good gift. So sex in and of itself is not bad by any means. It's actually a wonderful gift that God has created for us to enjoy, but He's created for us to enjoy it in a particular context, which is in marriage and commitment. And I think pornography distorts so much of God's incredible, gracious gift that He's given to us. It creates unreal expectations for men and women. Men going into marriages having been totally addicted to pornography, and then expecting their wives to be that for them. And you can't have a real relationship with someone after watching actors for 10 years do it a particular way, you know. And I think there's emotional pornography for women, and it's love movies. So men have fantasies visual through pornography through that, and then women have emotional pornography through these ridiculous love movies. How can you compete with a flying vampire who says stuff like, "You're my heroine"? Right? Like, you can't. Pornography is the exercise of our fantasies, and it creates unreal expectations in us. The beautiful thing is that there is hope. So I was just reading the other day in Luke that, Jesus, that someone comes to drop down a paralytic through the ceiling into Jesus' presence, and Jesus goes, "Your sins are forgiven." And the Pharisees say to him, how could you have authority to forgive sins? And he says, which is easier, to forgive sins or to have it heal this man and have him walk? And he said, but just so that you know, I tell this man to get up, be healed. And so he inextricably connects forgiveness of sin with healing. And so what's so crazy is Jesus is able to forgive us of our pornography addictions, of fulfilling the lusts of our eyes and our heart, but also not just forgive us, but there's power in Him also to heal us from those addictions. And I'm a testimony of that, man. Jesus has restored me. I was addicted to pornography. It's so accessible everywhere I go. But He's given me new desires, man. And that's come through just submission and obedience and just saying, and God's grace ultimately, like, God, I don't want to be addicted to this stuff. I want to live a fruitful, fulfilled marriage, however that You had it planned for me, and I don't want this thing to rule over me. And just broken, coming before Him continually. A long battle, a long stretch of back and forth, but He's able to heal, man.
Hello.
I'm going. I'm ready. Oh yeah, I love technology. Makes my day easy.
I use my computer and I use my phone all of the time.
I'm always texting the ladies, of course.
Depending on if I'm doing homework, I use the internet for that, or I get on Facebook, talk to friends, load pictures.
I use it every day.
I don't know. I mean, if I didn't have technology, I couldn't listen to music as easily. Without? I don't know. I love technology. I use it every day.
Well, obviously with technology, there's like so many things that could like come up, and like just because it's so open and so many people are on it and there's so much access. And I remember being little and like having things pop up and I have no idea what they are, just scared that they popped up. I was just like, what the crap?
Pornography is kind of that taboo word that someone says porn and you're like, oh, let's not talk about it, let's change the subject,
I think I just remember a pop-up came up and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And like you try to click out and you're just like freaking out.
And then boom, there's a pornographic picture and you're just, it's not what you wanted, but it's there.
Like, it's just something that you just cringe at. You're just kind of like, oh, why? A lot of the television shows I watch, they start off with like a lot of like things hinting towards it, and then you start watching that more and more and you get used to it thinking it's okay. You're just kind of getting immune to it, but you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be getting immune to this.
Because once you get into it, once you look at it, you get a little curious. It starts progressing after that, and it's not good.
But I think the everyday teen is not educated enough to know it's an addiction, and that's how they end up getting hooked and addicted.
They're trying so hard to get people and target people that they put it anywhere they can.
If they start while you're young, then they've got you for a long time. They've got you for life because it's an addiction.
And at that age, you don't think it's gonna happen, you know, but it does.
If my friends were ever looking at porn or anything, I think I would just, you know, I wouldn't be like judgmental. I'd just be like, tell them how it is.
Obviously, it's their own choice, but yeah, I care for them because they're my friends.
I think they should know what they're getting into before they get into it and how much it will affect their lives. Yeah, everyone deserves to know the truth about what it does to you and how it can hurt you.
And like how it affects the chemicals in your brain or what it does to your mindset.
When you know the truth about pornography, the moment you're exposed to it, you can just be like, oh, I know what's really going on.
Just think about it. Think about your future, not what you want now. I don't think pornography is cool at all, and it's not respectful to other people at all either. It is so not cool, and if you ever get exposed to that, don't ever do it, or I'll beat you up.
Guys, pornography is just not cool at all.
This is not cool. Pornography is just, it's not cool. Don't do it.
Like I said, it's destructive. It's not good at all, so just stay away from it.
Become a fighter.
Become a fighter.
Become a fighter.
I am a fighter, and you should become a fighter too.
That's all I got.